Hey guys, it's Finn, and I recently finished my little experiment which I don't think I ever told you guys about. I mean, I was going to, but I kind of forgot about it. Let me explain. I recently went through a full year without illegally downloading anything over the internet. Because I used to do that every now and then, downloading music and games, which I really didn't want to buy, but I really wanted to try and listen and play through them. But I really didn't want to use the spare money. You see, I used to be extremely against piracy. I mean, one day I just experienced this awakening that, hey, piracy is so wrong and developers aren't getting any money and stuff. So that was the point when I used to be extremely against piracy. I'm of course talking about downloading video games, movies, music and softwares and such illegally over the internet. I didn't do that. I didn't do any of that for a full year during my experiment. And I used to think that piracy was taking away jobs from people on programming, business and other workplaces related to these products. And I also used to think that piracy is directly stealing from the developers. However, after my experiment, I must say I'm having second thoughts. In fact, I have changed my mind about piracy quite radically after my experiment. The thing is, when some anti-piracy activist speaks against piracy, the main arguments are usually as follows. During the last year, over $59 billion worth of software was illegally downloaded. That means over 70,000 jobs are lost annually because of piracy. And they also say piracy is directly taking away money from the developer's paycheck. Piracy is stealing. And the thing is, I used to stand behind these statements too. But after my experiment, I call these kinds of arguments bullshit. Don't get me wrong, I still don't support piracy. It's just that I have come to realize that a million people illegally downloading music doesn't equal a million people that would have paid for the music had they not been able to download it illegally. You see, I used to download all kinds of music back in the day, like I said. As soon as one of my favorite artists or some other band that had gotten my attention recently released an album, I downloaded it and listened it for weeks. But then I started my experiment. I didn't download anything illegally, so does this mean that I bought these music albums now that I refuse to download them? No, it doesn't. I didn't do that. I didn't buy, in fact, any more music than I used to. Keep in mind, I did buy music and games even when I did some piracy. I mean, I didn't download it all. However, I only bought those products that I liked the most. When some piece of music or a video game was just okay or meh, you know what I mean, then I didn't buy it. I downloaded it, but I didn't buy it later. And when I liked something very much, I did buy it later. So, what was the result of my experiment? What was the conclusion I made after not downloading anything illegally for a year? Well, shortly put, when I download music from some band that I think is okay, I get the music, but they don't get the money. So there's that. And when I don't download it, I still don't buy it, and they still don't get the money. So it's a lose-lose situation really for the artist that I don't really support that much yet. So from this point of angle, there's really nothing wrong with piracy. I mean, the only difference between these two situations is that thanks to me not downloading their music, they lost a potential fan, because if I don't download the music, I still don't buy the album, because I just don't spend my money like that. And because if I did, I wouldn't have any money to begin with. I mean, buying music albums and games over and over again, it costs money these days. And it's the same thing with video games. I didn't buy any more games than I used to after I started my experiment. The main argument against piracy is flawed, if you ask me. So that was that was something that I learned during this piracy-free year. So my conclusion is this: piracy is not as big of a problem as people think it is. Piracy isn't hurting the developers as much as one might think. My piracy-free year didn't change my shopping behavior towards digital products like music and games at all. Therefore, I don't think my illegal downloading at least didn't hurt any developers whatsoever. Now this is where I come back to my main point. A person downloading something illegally doesn't equal a person that would have bought it had he not been able to download it. So let's go back to $59 billion worth of softwares are downloaded annually. Sure, I believe that, and I'm sure it's a fact. But to claim that it directly results 70,000 lost jobs every year, I mean, give me a break. That's horse crap. To think that all those people illegally downloading would have paid for it had they not been able to download it is naive. It's stupid, really. I mean, I'm sorry to say this, but that's how it is. However, before I wrap up the video, I do want to point out once again that I still don't support piracy, don't get me wrong. I still do think that it being illegal is the right thing. The reason why I say this is because, well, just because I don't really want to spend money on something, or I don't have the money for it, like that band that I don't really support yet, but I'm kinda interested in, but I still don't wanna spend money on its album. Just because I don't wanna do that, I still don't have the rights to download it illegally. I mean, if you ask me, it's all about respecting the creator's rights. I mean, sure, my piracy might not hurt the developers or steal money from them, but it's still not my right to download it. I mean, people who support piracy use pretty lame ass arguments as well, and if you ask me, they use them way more often than those against it. I mean, those against piracy, they have pretty good arguments as well every now and then. I mean, they have pretty good arguments every now and then. I mean, the only flaw is to think that it's directly stealing from people, which I don't think it does. But those who support piracy, their arguments so far have been just horse crap. I mean, they claim, for example, that the big companies already have money. I mean, they claim, for example, these piracy supporters, they claim that the big companies already have money. They don't need mine. Or maybe video games are so overpriced these days. I refuse to pay for it. And better yet, the artist should make music because they love to do it, not for the money. I mean, your goddamn opinion doesn't matter. It doesn't make it right to download it illegally. You don't have the rights to do so. So stop claiming. Stop acting like you would have the rights just because you think you do. I mean, if the developers want to give out their digital products to be downloaded for free, they'll do it themselves, and it's cool and perfectly legal. They're gonna put their product for sale for free, and then you can download it for free, and it's completely legal and cool. And then again, if they put a price on their product, then you have to respect that as well. If the creators wish to make money out of their products, then you have no rights to deny that from them. So that's why piracy isn't legal, nor should it ever be. So even though, to wrap up this video, even though I think people see piracy as a way bigger problem than it really is, I still acknowledge that it being illegal is well deserved. But it's just that piracy isn't directly stealing from people. I mean, I do admit that there is some financial loss from the developers thanks to piracy, but I just refuse to believe it's that high. After my experiment, like I said, I didn't buy any more stuff than I used to. So I call that BS, but I still believe that piracy is hurting the developers to some degree, but it's so small that I don't think it's really making that much of a difference. So I thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys later.